big warm welcome to any ladies that might be tuning in to watch this recording today. They might have stumbled across us on Instagram, or they might be on YouTube, or wherever else we choose to share this. And the reason we're here today is to celebrate. It's like a beautiful opportunity for us to really celebrate you, to celebrate me, to celebrate us, this gorgeous journey that we're about to embark on together, and to really feels like initiate us into this journey that we're about to embark on. So the gorgeous Hannah here has embarked on the beautiful journey, which is your embodied business journey, the mentorship, which I am so excited. I'm so excited to welcome you aboard, my love. I could not be more excited to see what unfolds for you on this journey. Of course, me and Hannah have known each other for a while now, and yeah, we've just been cheering each other on this wild ride that is life and business and relationship over the past years, it seems. And it feels like such a beautiful way for us to deepen into our own inner leadership, our business leadership, our heart-led visions together in this way. So I'm super, super excited to lean in together today. We are going to be sharing a little bit around where we're currently at in our businesses, what kind of seasons we're in, what chapter of our business, and perhaps life. As we know, as we're embodying our businesses, so many different aspects of our life can come into that. Our different expressions of self, the things that we're navigating in life, relationships. So there's going to be a little snapshot, a little glimmer of that today for us to have a bit of a conversation about where we are both finding ourselves in this season of business, this season of life. And maybe a little opportunity to touch on the inspiration for the mentorship, both the invitation, me offering the invitation to the ladies, and for you and the other ladies, Hannah, that real sense of like, oh, what maybe like sparked that curiosity for you on the mentorship, and what felt like that a term that I keep hearing time and time again. It's like, oh, it feels divinely timed, or it's
Mhm.
like, oh, it feels like really aligned, or there's like all of these synchronicities that are just offering this deep embodied yes, that this is the beautiful next step for our visions.
Yeah.
And so with that, as we know, there's always potential for obstacles, blocks, fears to come our way that can be challenging, especially when we are getting ready to step into something new. It can be quite daunting, and so there's going to be a chance for us to maybe touch on some of that and how we maybe navigated that to support this next season. And of course, the opportunity today for us to touch on planting some seeds, like where do we want to see ourselves emerge on this journey? What do we really want to radiate outwards on this journey? What do we want to embody more fully? Where do we want to really imagine and vision this journey taking us over the coming months? And so that's a little bit of a snapshot of what to expect from this journey and this conversation today. As the beautiful wild women that we are, we have a beautiful opportunity to explore some questions together today. And yet, we might go off on a tangent. We'll see, Hannah, my love. There might be scope for us to like, oh, actually, let's go off on that direction. And all beautifully held and anchored into this gorgeous welcome call today, this beautiful welcome initiation. And so before we lean in, I would love for both myself and Hannah, any other ladies tuning into this call, to really, offer yourself a little moment of nourishment. It might be a little sip of my cacao. I believe, Hannah, you're on your lemon tea. Is that right?
I am, yes. I've already had my cacao, so I'm on my lemon tea. Have a
You,
little.
yeah. I love that. Nice and refreshing. Yeah, I love it. And an opportunity for any ladies or, any men that are tuning into this call as well, to really sense, oh, if I was to really lean into this conversation and offer myself this today, what might that be? If I was to really offer myself like a cup of tea, light a candle, maybe they want to take us out on a walk if they're like tuning in with the headphones, and take us out on a little podcast walk. So yeah, what they could nourish themselves with to really receive the beautiful medicine that will no doubt emerge from this gorgeous conversation together today. And so, with that, my love, I would love to offer us a little bit of what I'm going to call an embrace round. As you know, she embraces it all is all about us embracing the highs, the lows, everything in between. And that's what I've really loved about our conversations over the years, my love. We have a willingness to really give voice to some of the things that aren't always spoken about. You
Mhm.
know, like, that's what I really, really deeply appreciate about our conversations. It's this sense of, gosh, actually, like, I've been moving through some pretty hard stuff, or God, I'm feeling really like stagnant right now, or I'm feeling a bit lost, or actually, I'm feeling really like sexy or really liberated. You know, we give space for it all, which is what I really, really love and really appreciate. And so, with this, it's an opportunity for us both to ask ourselves this question of, if I was being really honest with myself today, how am I actually feeling? And I'm happy to kickstart us off if that feels good for you, Hannah, my love.
Yeah. Yeah, I would love to hear that.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah. So, if I was being really honest with myself, how I'm actually feeling today as I land on this, I was going to say morning, we're kind of venturing into around lunchtime now. I can feel there's like a little bit of, feels like a jittery excitement from, like, I would say the past few days, but it feels like the past couple of months. It feels like there's like a jittery excitement that's like in this part of the body, you know, and sometimes my shoulders are like, and it kind of comes upwards a bit. And then what I notice is that if I don't check in with myself and I'm like, okay, you know, like, this has happened before where I get so overly passionate about something that sometimes I can burn out. You know, if I get so excited that I don't check in and nourish myself as I go along. And so, what I'm sensing as I arrive here in this space today, and as I woke up this morning, was this beautiful excitement. And it feels like gold dust that's like starting to settle. And then also this deeper invitation from my body that's like, there's a little bit of scratchiness in the throat this morning. There's a little bit of heaviness. And I'm like, oh, maybe, maybe it's time to start dialing it down a little bit. You know, it's been like, it has been a very vibrant couple of months, and I keep saying to a lot of people that are asking, how's business going? It's like been the most vibrant 2 months, and the most momentum that I felt in my vision in the past 2 months than it has in the past 3-4 years. You know, since I started the Centre Space in 2020, it's like, wow, the past 2 months have been on fire. It's been like there's been a lot of passion there, a lot of momentum, a lot of connection, a lot of holding space. And it's really ignited this next chapter, you know, whatever that is. So it feels exciting. And it's like, oh, this is where I'm being invited to assess, how do I want to embody my business moving forward? You know, do I want to keep striving to always feeling that fire and passion energy? Or do I want to live in that cyclical honoring of my own seasons, honoring when it's time to start slowing down a little bit? So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Being honest with myself today, I'm ready for a little bit of a restorative, reflective space, which feels like this weekend is going to be beautiful for, which is a
Mm.
whole other adventure that me and Hannah are about to embark on together, which is very exciting. But yeah, the opportunity for you to sense into what feels alive for you with that question, my love, if you were being really honest with yourself today. Yeah, how are you really feeling in this moment?
Similar to you, I think in a way that I can feel that excitement almost bubbling up. But for me, it feels deeper, like it's in my solar plexus. It's like I really feel that churning, kind of twisting, turning, the bubbling and the excitement. Is like there's something brewing and
Mm,
can't quite see how it's going to all unfold at the moment, but it's really leaning into that trust
mm,
that it's going to unfold how it's supposed to, and that might not be how thought it would in the end as well. I thought it would be in the beginning, but it's going to have its own journey and to just really trust in that. And I'm going to have my own journey as well. And it's to really lean into everything, all the ebbs and flows that come up with it as well. And see the invitations that come through with it as well. Because like everything is like something will come along and it might hit you like you say, a block. And it's really taking note of that as well and not letting that overpower, but to see where alchemy, I was going to use that word, love the word, alchemize that from it. So yeah, it feels I feel like on the edge, like ready at the starting line, ready to go. And it's like I don't feel like I'm being held back, but it's sort of like, oh, I'm ready. I'm so ready to just go full throttle with it. But I haven't quite got my running shoes on yet.
I love that. Yeah. Wow. So beautiful. Feels so embracing of the journey, embracing of it all. Yeah. Like a real trust, deep surrender. Gorgeous. I love that. I felt my whole body like soften, like, oh, yeah, beautiful. And I love the openness. It's so spacious.
Mm,
It's not like you're going in like it has to be this way. If I don't achieve that, and holding all of these really specific expectations, it's like, oh, it feels like there's so much room for you to breathe and grow and expand and like, yeah, really flow, within that.
mm.
And that's what I love about this journey. It's like, here's the container, that beautifully embodied masculine holding that holds us in that loving accountability, and yet there's no expectation. It's like, as long as we're arriving, it's up to us where we then flow. And it's like, as long as we're arriving in the beautiful devotion to our vision, who knows where it's going to go, but it's going somewhere.
Yeah, yeah,
Really
exactly that.
exciting. Yeah, I love that. Beautiful to hear you leaning into that trust.
Thank you.
So, with that today, my love, I'm curious for both of us with this embrace round, if we were to get a little snapshot today of who am I telling myself I need to be and what am I giving myself permission for? For me this morning, it was like, who am I telling myself I need to be? And it's so interesting. Sometimes when I have a call like this, it's like I go into that, you need to plan, you need to prepare, you need to come across as like professional, or like all of these things. I'm like, ah, and I go into that like default, and it's like, hang on a minute. And I do the same with some sessions, if I'm like in a little bit more of like a heady space, I might go into a coaching session like, oh, like, what do I need to offer? Like, how do I want to support this woman? And, is she going to receive benefit from this time together? And then I'm like, okay, chance for me to notice. Okay, I'm not breathing fully. I'm holding rigidity in my body. I'm like tense, or I'm like in that fearful, like self doubt place. And it's an opportunity for me to notice, okay, what if I invited a deeper breath? What if I softened my shoulders away from my ears for a moment? And then the more I soften into myself and in my breath and in my heart, it's like, oh, it's almost like I can feel all of the busy thoughts just like melting. And it's like, oh, I can then drop into that place of, what happens if you just arrive as you are? Like,
Love that.
yeah, like, what if you just arrived and just named all of this and just like was human? And what if that is my permission? What if I can give myself permission to be human? That for me is how I want to embody business.
Yeah,
I don't want to have to show up in my business where I have to put on a mask, or I have to come across a certain way, or I'm held to this like high standard of like perfection, or like, like, oh, I have to present myself as a coach and what that means. It's like, oh, what if I just got to be human? And what if that was enough? And what if it wasn't only enough, but what if that was a very medicine, that supports other people to show up in their humanness as well. So that's the story I was telling myself today. That's what I'm giving myself permission for. And yeah, I'm curious what might come up for you within all of that today.
yeah. I mean, it's very, very profound. Again, what you were saying, that it's like dropping that need to be perfect and show up that way. And I was quite interested actually this morning as well, because normally with Zoom calls or anything like that, I show up and I'm always in my hoodie. I might have my hair up, looking a bit messy, just not made an effort kind of thing at all. And today I was like, I think it was going back from one of our other conversations as well, where you just comfortable, just constantly, even in the clothes that you're wearing, just being comfortable. And I've reflected on that so much over the last couple of weeks. And it's like, I need to push out of that, because that's one step, is just like wearing the clothes that I'm wearing, but also making an effort for myself and just to show up and be like, I can feel more into the feminine when I do,
Mhm.
and suddenly feel more of my body and feel into it. And I'm like, this is quite cool. So today, yeah, it was just like I wanted to do more of that and feel more into myself. And I feel like that has then just been a step towards just opening up more of me and dropping again those masks and not having to show up or put on a front that's different
Yeah.
and
Mm.
really have to try for it. It's like, no, just do it in the way that I want to do it, but make that effort for myself as well, not for any
Mhm.
other reason.
Oh. Oh, goosebumps. I love that. I love that so much, my love. Wow, so beautiful, so gorgeous to hear you really exploring that, that real sense of like, ah, I'm actually worthy of this. I'm worthy of feeling like to really put effort into myself. I'm worthy of that. That's huge. It's something that I'm continuing to explore. On the days where I'm like, it would be so much easier to just stay in my pajamas all day. And let's face it, we need a pajama day every now and then.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
True.
then at the same time, I notice the influence that that sometimes has on my mental health when I'm just like slumped and I'm like, oh, I feel rubbish, and how that like keeps me in a cycle sometimes. And so I love that you're really exploring that sense of I'm worthy of like making myself feel nice, making myself look nice, just like whatever that means for us, that's going to mean and feel a bit different for everyone. But yeah, it's so beautiful to really hear you embracing that and that powerful question that has been transformational, continues to be for me as well, is that question of what do I want?
Mm,
Something that comes up for me a lot, particularly in relationships, is like, who do they need me to be? What do they need me to be? Or like
yeah.
even, with supporting other women, supporting clients, it's like, oh, what do they need me to be? How can I be that for them? And then there's something so powerful, even in my coaching sessions, like, what do I need right now? Do I need to take a breath? Do I want to pause and have a cup of tea or like go and get myself another cup of tea? Can I invite us both into that? Because the more nourished I am, the more, present I can be in the space. So yeah, I love that you're like asking, what do I want? What do I want within this? Beautiful. So, so gorgeous. So much wisdom and medicine within that. And I love the permission that we're giving ourselves to be human, to really ask, like, what do I want from this? And there was actually a little invitation before we hopped on, actually, my love, wasn't there, around what would we love to receive from today? You might not have thought about that much, or it might be like a little seed that's still developing. Is there anything that you feel like, oh, I would love to receive this from this space today, whether that's a feeling, an intention?
It's yeah, that again, that question really hit me as well. Because we were saying before, like on other coaching courses that I've been on,
Mhm,
and this I would say is probably the first mentorship.
mhm,
So it feels more, I don't know, it feels more feminine and less kind of structured masculine kind of way. Less
mhm,
like a study course, and it's actually more of a reconnection kind of thing,
mhm,
or deep dive to me personally, as opposed to going through the motion. And normally I don't think like, oh, I'll go into a course and then we start and then that's it, hit the ground running, and not actually think about what I can get from that and that
mhm,
whole process. And it was really great to sort of take that moment with this and take that intention. There is so much I know I'm going to gain from this, and that it's hard for me to find the words for it as well. It's like I can't quite explain it, but it really feels like it's going to be a catalyst, and that is going to be so potently magical of brewing, of just everything together,
yeah,
bringing so much together, be that connection and
mhm,
that deepening. Even with you, like there's something when me and you get together, there's something that just sparks more life in me.
mhm.
And I'm just so excited to explore that more and more as well. I feel like you're a bit of like a magician, and you're like the gatekeeper, and you can like unlock a little bit more from me. So I'm so excited just to
Love that.
journey with that more.
Wow, so exciting. Wow, you know the feeling is mutual, my love. I feel like we're here like offering each other all these keys and we're like offering ourselves all of these gates. And I said that to you, didn't I? Sometimes when we've hopped onto calls before and it's just like this aliveness that comes when we're together and that beautiful like reawakening of the passion and the fire and the authenticity. And it's like it feels so beautiful, to be journeying together in this way. And can I just say I loved the words weaved in there like brewing and catalyst. I'm like, I just like bask in these words all day. It feels so powerful. Even bringing those words, like I used to think that embodiment was all about, oh, just the felt sense of the feeling, the sensations of the body. And then I realized the more that we can weave together the mind body connection, the conceptual thinking part of ourselves and the embodied self, it's like, oh, the embodied self gets to encompass words, thought, visualization. It gets to be a whole part of the embodied self. And it's words like catalyst, brewing. So one of the words that I love at the moment is like radiance or
Mm,
melting, savoring.
yeah,
It's like
love
all of these beautiful words that we can invite in. So yeah, I just wanted to really celebrate everything that you're letting yourself, bring into your awareness and to really embody, right here from day one on your welcome call. It's like can feel the passion, the aliveness, the fire. And I loved what you shared about this isn't like a study mentorship,
mm,
that can be so nourishing, as we know, especially if we're going working towards like a certification, a qualification, we're training in a modality. Sometimes that theory, the educational side of things can be so important. And
yeah,
yet I'm so excited that here we're exploring something that offers something very unique. It's a deep, like you said, it's a deep reconnection to self, rather than like, what's the strategy? What's the sales funnel? What's the theory? Whilst that's a beautiful part of this process, it's a deeper invitation for us to meet ourselves as the embodied storyteller, which we'll be touching on a little bit more as we go along, but to really get to sense, like, before I even start to connect with what I've discovered along the way, before I even start to share my story, like, am I taking a full breath in my body right now? Like, what is actually really alive for me before I present myself in a certain way? Have I checked in with what's actually underneath the surface?
yeah,
Can I give space for that? And so I'm so excited that we're going to be exploring it. Feels like that is a beautiful thing that so many of us are going to be receiving from this journey, is that deeper self connection, and what we might experience, from today, as we lean in. So thank you for bringing that. And thank you for asking yourself, like, what do I want to receive from this? It's not always an easy question to ask
yeah,
when we're like following someone else's agenda or people pleasing or, getting lost in the journey. Sometimes it's like, oh, I forgot to actually really receive what I wanted, from that. So there's lots of space for us to lean into that. And with that, I feel like we've touched on these last couple of points already, perhaps a little bit, but to really hone in on, with all of that we've shared today, how we're arriving in the space, if we're being really honest, what it is that we're really leaning into, what we're hoping to receive from this space together. What would you say that you're really choosing to embrace, perhaps for yourself today and for the times to come on this journey? What is it that you're really choosing to embrace? And as you let that land, I'm more than happy to, yeah, to reflect a little bit, and then, yeah, we can hand over to you and feel into what you're embracing. um yeah, I would say, as I reflect on what I've shared today around the excitement, the desire for the restoration, the yeah, the real journey into what this mentorship, what embodying my business really means for me. I say it all the time, but it always comes back to this. I am embracing my humanness. I'm embracing the imperfection, the
mhm,
messiness,
yeah,
the not knowing. I've given I've given so much space over the past year or two or three to exploring the unknown in many respects. And the more that I lean into the unknown, the more appreciation I have from what can be birthed from that place. When I release the grasp, release the rigidity around the expectation, it's like, oh, if I actually just let myself surrender into what wants to unfold naturally, there's more magic that I could have ever, planned for,
Yeah.
that can emerge. So I am embracing my humanness. What about you, my love? What are you embracing today or on this journey?
I just want to touch on that quickly as well, that the you embracing your humanness. I love that. And the not knowing and the messiness is like really embracing that, because again, that's hard. It's so difficult to do. It's like that lack of control, releasing control. And it's just like, ooh, it'll be
Yeah.
what it'll be, and just trust in that.
Yes, exactly.
I
Yeah.
love
Control piece. Oof.
that. Mm,
Runs deep. Runs deep.
yeah, definitely. Um,
Oh.
for me, when you first asked me, actually straight away came into my mind authenticity,
Mm.
like being that authentic self.
Yeah.
And again, I suppose that really relates as well to that, just embracing the imperfections, the messiness and everything. It's like that is part of being authentic. And yeah, so that came through very strong for me. And there's another one that's I've been in a journey with now for a while, is like just embracing that authenticity and shedding the people pleasing, and showing up in how we should be, how we should act, and what we should say. And yeah, and then with that came hand in hand with intuition as well. It's like leaning more into that intuition, because straight away authenticity was said in my head, or it was said like that in an own, like shouted at me.
Yeah.
And I was like, intuition is there as well, because that's my intuition saying to me, say that. It's that.
Mm,
Like,
wow.
so it's tying
Wow.
in the
I love that. I feel so powerful. Yeah, it's like clarity. It's like
Mm,
the way forward is authenticity, and like the courage to speak it, and the beautiful trust in your intuition, like trusting in yourself to follow, like that's what it is. I'm not going to doubt it. That's what it is. Like I love that embodied knowing that came through. So, so beautiful. I'm curious with that, my love, as you sense it into like the part that's like just speak it, it's the authenticity, and like that deeper like intuitive, like that's what it is. Do you sense those areas in the body anywhere in your experience, the authentic part and the intuitive part? And it might change and flow day to day.
it kind of feels very deep, almost rooted. I was going to say very rooted then. So
Mm,
yeah, like in my root, I suppose, very, very deep in my root, sort of like more lower down
yeah.
of my body.
Oof.
But it also feels very freeing in my
Mm,
headspace as well, like around here.
yeah.
It's just opened up a little bit.
Wow. I love that. Ooh, it feels rooted, it feels earthy, feels expansive as well.
Mm.
It's like the full spectrum woman is here. She's here. I love it. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. And last but not least, my love, a little opportunity, as always, for us to return back to nourishment. What is the thing at this moment in our life, in our business, in our hearts? What's bringing us a real sense of sparkle, of joy? What's bringing us a sense of perhaps passion or aliveness? And this could be something as simple as the warmth of our cup of tea, the flickering flame of our candle, or it might be something like, we were talking before about our experience going to like different dance classes. It could be nature, all sorts of things. It might be something that you're really looking forward to leaning in even more in your business, it can be all sorts. So
Yeah.
yeah, for me, I would say for that, for the sparkle, the joy, and the aliveness, I would say the sparkle. I'm going to come back to dance class because the sparkle was like, yeah, it's been a real emotional roller coaster. When she asked me, "How have you found the journey, like the 6 weeks beginners course into sexy heels class?" I was like, "I'm going to be honest, it's been an emotional roller coaster." I left I left the second session like crying, like, "Oh my gosh, this is so hard." Like I feel like so awkward and like, for people that followed the journey, you know that if I'm in my own body, if I've got my eyes closed, if I'm an ecstatic dance and we're all dancing together, I feel so free in my body. You know, when I'm just moving in the way that I want to move, I feel so confident. I feel so at home. And that's been a journey within itself. And yet I've reached a real place of contentment within that and a real place of nourishment. And yet, put me in front of a studio in a group of people with a dance teacher and an instructor, and we've got to move left and then right and then stick our bum out this way and like all of these different things. It's like I just get in my head and I'm like, how am I supposed to look? I'm not doing it right. I'm not sexy enough. Like, oh, like what's everyone else doing? And all of these questions. And then to allow myself to devote myself to returning back to the feeling, like, she's incredible, the teacher. She said, you know, she was reflecting throughout the course and at the end of like, do you know what? Doesn't really matter how we look, you know, as long as we feel, as long as we're feeling sexy, or as long as we're feeling confident, or we're inviting ourselves to feel these things, you know, it doesn't really matter. Just have fun with it, you know. And the more that I could get into my felt sense of my body and just move my body in a way just because it felt good, you know,
Mm,
which is what I'm a biggest advocate about in sessions and as we're exploring all this body oriented exploration. And so it was really a deeper invitation for me to embody that, you know, and to really sense like let go of like what you're supposed to look like or what sexy looks like, and just feel the sexiness, feel the sensuality, like reconnect with touch, and yeah, just reconnect with what really feels good. So yeah, I was really finding a lot of sparkle seeing it through, you know, rather than just like throwing the towel in, oh, it's just too hard, or like, oh, I feel so awkward, and just seeing it through. And as you know, on the fourth session, I was like, oh my goodness, like I was requesting to be recorded again, which I just didn't. I was that close to not going because I knew I was going to be recorded. And I was like, I know we're gonna have to do a dance on our own, and I'm just gonna feel so awkward. But I went and I was literally just, I came out just feeling radiant. I was like, I'm so proud of myself. I had fun with it. It's like, oh, like, yeah, I'm still at the beginning of like my dance journey in that respect, you know, in terms of learning a routine and being in a group and that kind of studio setting.
mm,
4 sessions, I was like, my goodness, I feel so alive, you know? And for me, that was a reminder of this is what embodying my vision feels like. You know, sometimes we might feel like, oh, what post do I need to put out? What offering do I need to create? And actually, for me, embodying my business is embodying my vision. You know, it's embodying how do I want to feel in life? You know,
mm.
how do I want to feel so that I don't have to show up in life in one way and then put on another hat in my
Yeah.
business? There might be an element of that from time to time. And yet, I've lived my life being one version at work, people pleasing, striving, overworking, overgiving, and then collapsing, you know, and feeling like there was these two versions of myself that was existing and surviving. And so embodying my vision for me really genuinely feels like how can I embody how I want to feel in my life, in my business, in my vision? How can I go out to dance class like I know you do, you know, and be the living, breathing embodiment of like, this is what I want more of in my life and my business. I want to feel more sexy, more sensual, more embodied. I want to try new things and like stretch out of my comfort zone and really encourage myself to expand into more of the woman that I know that I am, you know, to really support myself to get out of those more rigid, stuck, stagnant ways of being. So yeah, that is what's bringing me sparkle, joy, and aliveness. And here's to more, yeah, stretching into the expansive zone. Here's to nurturing myself in the process and really weaving in how do I want to feel, not just in business, but in life, in my relationships, and how can I show up in life to support that, you know? So that's me, my love. I'm curious what's bringing you sparkle, joy, and aliveness right now.
Really love that. You know, I can reflect so much on with the dance side of it because that really brings me so much joy and aliveness and just that again almost that unlocking that different side of self that I
Mm,
don't always see and give credit to and bringing out that confident self as again as well is there's so much that comes down to even just something like a dance class and
mm,
so much that can come from it as well like with the just the emotions that can come up and the confrontations because it can be you suddenly watching yourself do these and it's like oh wow like I wasn't expecting that, or I could be doing better than this, that. You can hear the judgmental side come out a couple of times. Well, I've had that for sure.
Yeah.
And it's then not letting that get in the way as well, which has been quite strong. But
Mm,
yeah, dance is a huge one, definitely a huge one for me.
yeah.
Um, but I also feel like with doing my little rituals sort of in the morning, having my ritual with cacao and with tarot and journaling and stuff like that, I feel like that is really powerful for me because it gets me to connect back to the spiritual side, the spirituality side. It feels like so much can be in the 3D world, and so much can be spent like having to do this, having to go on like get admin stuff done, go and adult life and everything like that. And that just that little ritual in the morning sort of really connects me back to my soul and
Mm,
spiritual side,
yeah.
which I feel is a lot linked to again my authenticity, I suppose, in a way. Is there's a lot linked with that. And the
Mm,
more I can connect with that, then the deeper I can connect with the authenticity as well.
wow.
Yeah.
Ooh, I love that. So beautiful. Like, yeah, I just had that phrase that so many of us are used to on this journey of like coming out of the spiritual closet. You know,
Yeah.
like being in like a corporate job or like a career, and it's like, is my spiritual side welcome here? And I love that real embracing of ritual and like those gorgeous ceremonial type experiences for self, and how you said like that complements a deeper embracing of your authentic self. Like, this is me, this is what I love, to connect to spirit. And yeah, it really reminded me as you were sharing that about how deeply moving over the past months, especially my exploration of prayer has been.
Oh wow, love
Yeah.
that.
I've been sat with this question maybe for the past, I would say the past year and a half, or maybe even two. I say year and a half. The first time was back in 2018 when I was working with children and families in the NHS. And I saw families in their worst times, you know,
Mm.
families that were going through such hardship and grief and loss, um, and really poorly children. And I saw families in the depths of their grief connecting with God or connecting with their religion, or, actually speaking to God or the universe, or, the divine, whatever it is, speaking to source and being like, thank you. Thank you for looking after my little girl, or like their little girl had passed, and it's like, thank you for looking after her. Thank you for the food that we've got on the table. And I was just like in awe. I was like, these families are in their depths of their hardest times, and yet that they've got this deep, unwavering trust in something higher that's holding them within that, a deep, unwavering gratitude for life as it's unfolding, even in the most tragic of ways. It's like they were still able to find a deep sense of contentment and gratitude and like a connection within those moments. Ever since then, I was like, there's something about faith and trust and surrender. And I've always questioned what that is for me. And so it's beautiful to hear you speak about ritual and ceremony today, and having that gorgeous experience for yourself, each day. And I know you love to sit with your gorgeous cacao, and you've been on a whole journey there. And it's, yeah, it's powerful, I feel, especially when we are embodying our visions, because we don't always know, like you said, where it's heading. We don't
Mm.
always know how it's going to unfold or what journeys we're going to go on. And so when we've got that connection with source, spirit, the universe, God, whoever it might be, like, it's like, wow, it's for me, I found a lot of deep surrender, deep surrender in that. I'm curious what would you say the ritual experiences, the ceremonial experiences, what do they offer you? What do they anchor you back into, perhaps?
I think it's a big part of it is coming back to myself, especially with journaling. It's sort of like it's just getting things out of my mind, out of my brain, because I'm such a busy brain, like so much up in my head.
Yeah.
And so it's really getting that chance to just get it out and release it. Again, like you say, just that release.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to like with the cacao, it's that connection then to Mother Earth and universe, and that connection to spirit, and just taking that pause to give thanks, to call in these powers, call in the energies of the goddesses, the feminine divine, Lady Cacao, everything to create that medicine
Mm,
together. It feels really, really powerful as well. And then with tarot too, it's like the tarot cards.
mm,
Again, I use them. I don't use them as a like a predictive tool. They're not that for me so much.
mm,
They're more of a it's like a clarity within myself. So like I could ask it a question,
mm.
and what will come up will just be a clarity that it needs something that it needs to tell me, but it's something that I already maybe innately know.
That.
And it's just that clarity with it as well. So it's, yeah, all that reconnection to everything, really, like the mind getting connected to the body getting connected back to the earth, and then to spirit and the
Ooh,
universe, and the bigger wider
wow.
things.
You're getting full body tingles, my love. It's like, wow, that right there is an embodied woman, connected mind, body, spirit, earth. It's like, wow, she is embodied. I love that. So gorgeous. Love that
I don't
Darcy.
know where all of this is coming from today. It's literally just like it seems to just be like flowing out.
Love it. How powerful when we give ourselves permission to be human and authentic. And it's like, oh, actually, it's like all there. It's like you said with the tarot, it's like, oh, I already know. And it's, yeah, it's that beautiful connection with spirit and like, oh, like, it's almost like a beautiful confirmation, isn't it? Of like, oh, wow, I do know. Welcome, Darcy. So gorgeous. Oh, those beautiful floppy ears. Can't get enough of them. Beautiful. And I know Darcy's a huge nourishment for you as well, isn't she?
She definitely is. She's my spirit baby. I knew my spirit animal.
So gorgeous, so beautiful. Well, my love, I feel like, wow, I always do this. I'm like, I'll just offer a few check-in questions. And then I'm like, we could literally have a podcast just on the check-in questions alone. So actually, what I'm gonna suggest is that for any ladies, any guys, any men watching this, any beautiful humans that are tuning in and actually, yeah, deeply finding this a nourishing conversation to tune into, it might be that you guys want to actually go away and really sense into what all of this means for you. It might be that it's really igniting something within you as the listener of like, oh, I can relate to that. Or, yeah, what's my relationship like with ritual or with tarot or with prayer and faith? What is my spark of joy at the moment? What's bringing me joy in my life? What story am I telling myself about how I need to be, and really taking some time to perhaps go away and journal on that, to maybe take a walk out in nature as you let all of that land and let it settle into what is this, yeah, awakening within you, perhaps as a listener. And of course, me and Hannah would love to stay connected and hear if there is anything and you like want to pop us a message on Instagram and be like, oh, I was really touched by what you said about this, or it really inspired something about this within me and I wanted to share that with you. One of my favorite things throughout the week is receiving messages off women that send me a picture of like their cup of tea, or they send me a picture of a delicious breakfast that they've put together, or a nice dress that they're wearing, or anything that's really connecting them back to themselves. It's like, oh, amazing. I love it. I get a lot of pictures of trees, like women like, look at this tree. So yeah, I'm sure myself and Hannah would love to see how you might be exploring this, within your own lives, within your own relationships, your own business visions. And it may be for the listeners that they want to pause that there. And then they want to go and explore what that means for them. And then you might want to join us for the deeper conversation that we're about to lean into as almost like a part two, like a round two, if you like. And this is going to be an opportunity for us to really start to hone in on where we're arriving now, the mentorship, to really start to get into our businesses, if you like, encompassing all of our humanness within that. And maybe for you business women that are tuning in, you're like, I have a heart led vision. I have ideas and offerings that I want to bring, creations. maybe you can resonate with feeling blocked, or like there's like a self-sabotage that's coming up, constant self-doubt, procrastination, holding yourself back, not putting those ideas that you've been sat on for maybe months or years and just like constantly waiting for the right time or when you feel ready. It might be that you relate to that. And so you want to lean into this next part where me and Hannah are going to get into the juiciness of what it means to be a woman in business, not just any business, but heart led, embodied business. As the visionary women we are, showing up, practicing being human, practicing being our authentic selves, continuing to embrace our spiritual aspects of self and all of the other sides. It's like, oh, how do we show up in that in business? And so we're going to be leaning into that in a moment. For now, I would love to offer maybe a little reset for me and Hannah, if that feels good. Maybe we could take a little moment of nourishment for a couple of minutes. Maybe it's going and topping up our hot drink, something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe it's going and putting your favorite pair of fluffy slippers on and just sensing, yeah, like I'm going to let that beautiful conversation land. And then we'll come back for a little bit more of a conversation around, yeah, the mentorship business and this chapter that we're moving into. So I will pause for now and yeah, look forward to maybe seeing some of you listeners over in part two. All right, my loves. See you soon.